Hey, what's up everyone and welcome. Get ready, because over the next few minutes, we are going to totally flip the script on how you see a certain object from your childhood. Yeah, we're about to unlock the code of the recorder.
Okay, I know exactly what you're thinking. The recorder, right? That plastic thing from music class that pretty much only made squeaky noises. The go-to for that unforgettable version of hot cross buns. You probably just think of it as a toy, and that's it.
Well, what if I told you that is just completely wrong? This thing isn't just a school instrument. We're talking hundreds of years ago. Back in the Middle Ages, famous composers were writing some seriously epic and complex music for the recorder. It was a legit, respected instrument. So, what's the real story here? Let's dig in.
All right, so to really get this, let's treat the recorder like a piece of tech we're unboxing. Before we can even talk about the software, the music, we've got to understand the hardware first. So every recorder is basically built from three main parts that just slot together. First up, you've got the head, which has the mouthpiece, that's your input. Then there's the body, that long middle part with all the finger holes. Think of that as your keyboard. And finally, the foot, a little end piece with a couple more holes for extra notes. Seems simple enough, right? But believe me, the real magic, it's all happening inside that headpiece. Let's zoom in on the most critical part, the labium. It's this sharp little edge right inside the mouthpiece, and this tiny component is like the heart of the whole operation. It's not just a piece of plastic, it's the recorder's sound engine. And how that engine actually works is pretty wild. Okay, so now for the science part. How does just blowing into a tube with some holes in it become music? Well, it all comes down to one thing, vibration.
So check this out. When you blow into the mouthpiece, your breath gets squeezed through this tight channel and smacks right into that sharp edge, the labium. This forces the air to split and start vibrating super fast. And that vibration, that column of air shaking inside the tube, that is the sound. It's not creating a sound, it is the sound. Just pure physics at work.
Okay, so how do you actually change the pitch? Go from low to high? Well, your fingers are basically changing the length of the racetrack for that air. When you cover more holes, the air has to travel a longer path down the tube. A longer air column vibrates slower, and that gives you a lower sound. Uncover the holes, and you've just made a shortcut. The air column gets shorter, it vibrates faster, and bam, you get a higher sound. All right, but we have to talk about the squeak. Why does it happen? It's all about control. If you blow way too hard, you're just overloading the whole system. The air gets all chaotic and unstable, and it jumps to this way higher, much harsher vibration. It's basically the musical version of a super cringe social media post. That moment you just lose all control, and yep, everyone hears it. The trick isn't blowing harder, it's blowing smarter.
So you can make a sound. Great. But how do you go from that to actually playing music? Well, you've got to think of it like leveling up in a game. It's time to level up. We're moving out of the tutorial and into the main quest.
Okay, your first skill tree to unlock is breath control. To get that clean, steady sound, you have to breathe from your diaphragm. That's the big muscle right under your lungs. Think of your diaphragm like your character's stamina bar. Breathing deep and then exhaling all slow and steady, that's the cheat code to stop the squeaks and hold notes for those long, awesome-sounding phrases. All right, next up, finger power-ups. Your fingers can't be flat. They need to be curved so you can seal the holes completely. If any air leaks out, the note's going to sound weak. And remember, left hand always goes on top. Then it's just practice, making those movements quick and clean. This is all about your dexterity stat. The higher you get it, the more insane the music you'll be able to play. Now, playing solo is cool and all, but the recorder is really a team sport. See, there isn't just one type of recorder. There's a whole family of them, and they're designed to be played together in groups or what musicians call ensembles.
So, let's meet the team. Think of it like picking your character in a game. You've got the soprano, it's the smallest and has the highest pitch, kind of like the speedy scout of the party. Then there's the alto, which is bigger and has a deeper sound, that's your mage. The tenor is even bigger with this really rich tone, so that's your warrior. And then there's the bass, the huge one playing the lowest notes. It's the tank, holding down the whole foundation.
And when they all play together, yeah, it is all about teamwork. Each player has to listen like crazy to everyone else, perfectly matching their pitch, their timing, their volume. The goal is to make all those separate parts melt together into one single epic sound. Seriously, it takes a ton of skill and focus to pull that off. Okay,
We've gone through the hardware, the science, the skills, but let's take a step back. Why does any of this actually matter?
Look, the big takeaway here is this. The recorder is so much more than we give it credit for. It's not just a toy. It's a real, precision instrument with an amazing history. It's the perfect way to understand the physics of sound, what it takes to practice something, and the cool thing that happens when people work together. It's a gateway to understanding some really big stuff.
And that kind of leaves me with one last question for you. The recorder looks so simple on the outside, but it's actually super deep and complex when you really look at it. So what else is out there in your world that's just like this? What's another simple thing you know that's actually way, way more complex than it seems? Just something to think about. Thanks so much for hanging out with me.